Through a General Motors recall involving more than 600,000 vehicles, GM is recalling four-wheel trucks and SUVs.
At 70 miles per hour, trust is not optional. It is assumed. You trust that the steering will respond, that the engine will keep turning, that the machine beneath you will not suddenly betray you. For decades, General Motors sold that trust as a promise, especially to families who bought its pickup trucks believing they were investing in safety, durability, and peace of mind. But today, nearly 900,000 GM trucks and SUVs sit under a cloud of fear, lawsuits, and unanswered questions. Engines have seized without warning. Families have reported near misses on highways. And a scandal once whispered about in forums has now exploded into public view. This is not a story about a minor defect or an inconvenient recall. It is about engines that can lock up suddenly, turning routine drives into moments of panic. It is about a company accused of knowing more than it admitted, responding with fixes that critics say delay failure rather than prevent it. And it is about a staggering contrast. While owners wrestled with broken trucks and safety fears, GM announced an $888 million investment in new engine production, complete with smiles, speeches, and ribbon cuttings. The questions are unavoidable. Why were warnings allegedly buried? Why were customers offered thicker oil and plastic caps instead of redesigned parts? And why did accountability only arrive after regulators and lawyers stepped in? As federal investigations widened and lawsuits multiplied, something deeper than a mechanical flaw came into focus. This was a crisis of credibility. For generations, GM pickups were marketed as dependable workhorses, vehicles that carried families, built livelihoods, and lasted for decades. That image now collides with stories of engines failing at low mileage, dealers overwhelmed by angry customers, and workers questioning the ethics of what they were asked to build. Trust, once handed down like an heirloom, is now being traded away in showrooms across America. And this is only the beginning, because before the plastic caps, before the courtrooms, and before the billion-dollar announcements, the real problem started in a place most drivers never see, inside the engine itself. Real quick, if you're into videos that cut through the noise and break things down clearly, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people find this. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time. We've got more deep dives coming your way. Also, drop a comment and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your take. Now onto the video. The most unsettling part of this scandal is not how the engines failed, but why. According to regulators, engineers, and growing legal filings, these engines were not undone by abuse or age. They were compromised from the start. At the heart of the issue are microscopic machining flaws, imperfections so small they cannot be seen with the naked eye, yet large enough to destroy an engine from the inside out. Inside a modern V8, tolerances are unforgiving. Crankshafts, bearings, and connecting rods rely on an ultra-thin film of oil to keep metal from touching metal. When that film holds, the engine survives. When it breaks, damage accelerates instantly. Investigators believe that in certain GM engines, tiny inconsistencies in machined components disrupted that oil film. Once the barrier collapsed, friction surged, heat spiked, and metal began grinding against metal. In some cases, engines seized outright. In others, internal damage spread silently until catastrophic failure followed. What makes this especially alarming is who was affected. These were not high-mileage trucks at the end of their service lives. Many failures occurred in vehicles with fewer than 30,000 miles, trucks still under warranty, still making payments, still trusted to carry families at highway speeds. Owners described engines locking up without warning, leaving no time to react, no check engine light, no gradual decline, just sudden failure. The randomness amplified fear. A truck could run smoothly for months, then seize during a merge, while towing, or during a routine commute. That unpredictability is what transforms a defect into a safety crisis. Dependability is supposed to mean certainty. Instead, drivers were left guessing whether the next drive would be normal or dangerous. The contrast within GM's own lineup only deepened the sense of betrayal. The company is fully capable of building exceptionally reliable engines when cost is not constrained. High-performance platforms receive meticulous attention, premium materials, and strict quality control. But critics argue that when it came to mass-market trucks, the vehicles families rely on daily precision gave way to cost pressure. Corners were shaved in ways customers could not see, but would eventually feel. This was not wear and tear. It was not bad luck. It was a structural failure rooted in manufacturing and design decisions made long before any truck reached a driveway. And once those engines began failing in the real world, GM faced a defining choice: confront the problem head-on, or manage it quietly. What the company chose next would ignite the outrage that followed. When GM finally responded, many owners expected an admission of fault and a permanent repair. What they received instead felt like an insult, disguised as engineering. The company's official remedy did not involve redesigned components, new crankshafts, or rebuilt engines. It involved an oil change and a plastic filler cap. Dealers were instructed to drain the factory oil, replace it with a thicker grade, install a new cap marked with an updated specification, and return the vehicle to the customer. On paper, the explanation sounded technical enough to deflect concern. Thicker oil, GM suggested, would improve lubrication and reduce the likelihood of failure. In reality, engineers and independent experts quickly pointed out the problem. Oil viscosity cannot undo metal damage that has already occurred. Once microscopic flaws have disrupted the oil film and scarred bearings, the damage is irreversible. To owners who had paid $60,000 or more for a truck marketed as rugged and dependable, the response felt dismissive. A failure serious enough to strand families at highway speeds was being answered with a part that cost pennies. The deeper fear was not just that the fix was inadequate, but that it was strategic. Thicker oil can sometimes delay symptoms, allowing an engine to limp along longer before catastrophic failure. Critics argued that this effectively pushed many breakdowns past the warranty window, shifting the financial burden from GM to the customer. That perception changed everything. What might have been framed as a complex engineering challenge began to look like a calculated cost control decision. Owners were not being protected, they were being managed. Trust eroded further, as drivers realized that no warning system could tell them whether their engine was already compromised. The cap did not provide certainty, it provided delay. As frustration grew, owners did what corporations often underestimate. They documented, they complained, and slowly those individual stories began to converge into something GM could no longer ignore. Personal stories are powerful, but data is unforgiving. Once federal regulators stepped in, the scope of the problem became harder to dismiss. By early 2025, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration had logged dozens of detailed complaints involving sudden engine failures. These were not vague reports of rough idling or dashboard lights. They described engines locking up without warning, near collisions on busy highways, and vehicles rendered completely immobile in seconds. What caught regulators' attention was not just the content of the complaints, but their pattern. Failures clustered around the same engine types, the same production years, and similar mileage ranges. Many vehicles had fewer than 30,000 miles on the odometer. That detail mattered. Low mileage removes driver abuse from the equation and points squarely back to manufacturing. The investigation escalated quickly. A preliminary review ballooned into a recall, affecting nearly 900,000 trucks and SUVs. In regulatory terms, that speed is rare. Agencies do not expand investigations at that scale unless the evidence is compelling. The message was clear. This was not an isolated issue. It was systemic. Yet through much of this process, GM remained publicly restrained. There were no high-profile apologies, no executives acknowledging fault in front of cameras. Silence became part of the story. For owners, that silence felt louder than any press release. It suggested reluctance, not transparency. The contrast was striking. On one side were glossy advertisements still promising strength and reliability. On the other were government records documenting failures that undermined those promises. The gap between marketing and reality widened with every new complaint logged, and as regulators dug deeper, attention shifted from what was failing to how it had been allowed to fail in the first place. Because the numbers didn't just reveal breakdowns, they hinted at decisions made long before any recall notice reached a mailbox. As investigations widened and lawsuits gained traction, a more troubling narrative began to surface. According to legal filings and reports cited by attorneys, concerns about machining quality may have been raised internally years before the recall. At the manufacturing level, even tiny deviations can have massive consequences, especially in high-stress engine components. Precision is not optional, it is survival. The engines at the center of the controversy relied on components produced to extremely tight tolerances. When those tolerances drift, even slightly, oil flow and pressure can behave unpredictably. Critics allege that internal warnings about machining inconsistencies were minimized or deprioritized, viewed as manageable risks rather than urgent safety threats. Fixing them would have required slowing production, retooling processes, and absorbing higher costs. This is where the story moves beyond engineering and into corporate culture. Large manufacturers constantly weigh risk against expense. The danger arises when failure rates are deemed acceptable, as long as they remain statistically small and legally manageable. But acceptable on a spreadsheet does not mean acceptable on a highway. What makes these allegations especially damaging is precedent. GM has faced similar accusations before, most notably in past oil consumption cases, where internal documents later revealed engineers had flagged problems early. In those instances, cost-saving measures were chosen over design changes, and customers paid the price once warranties expired. That history now casts a long shadow. If warnings were raised and not acted upon, the issue is no longer a defect, it becomes a decision, and decisions carry responsibility. This possibility explains why legal discovery has become such a threat to GM. Emails, memos, and internal reports can transform suspicion into proof. While executives managed messaging from corporate offices, the consequences of those decisions landed elsewhere, on showroom floors, in service bays, and on the shoulders of people who never made the calls but were left to face the fallout. When the recall expanded, the first place owners turned was not a corporate office or a regulatory agency, it was the local dealership. Almost overnight, familiar showrooms became pressure points. Service lanes filled with trucks that would not start. Phones rang non-stop. Customers arrived angry, scared, and demanding answers that frontline staff did not have. Deals collapsed, trade-ins stalled. Some buyers demanded refunds for deposits placed months earlier. Salespeople were accused of knowingly pushing defective trucks, even though many had learned about the defect at the same time their customers did. Trust built over decades in small communities cracked in a matter of weeks. Service departments faced an even harsher reality. Mechanics trained for routine maintenance were suddenly dealing with catastrophic engine failures. Yet the only official guidance they had was the oil change fix. Service writers repeated corporate explanations they privately questioned, installing plastic caps while staring down owners who wanted permanent solutions. The emotional toll was heavy. Conversations escalated. Tempers flared. In some cases, customers threatened legal action directly at dealership counters. For many independently owned dealers, this felt like betrayal from above. They absorbed the anger, the financial losses, and the reputational damage. While GM maintained distance behind press statements and technical bulletins, dealers could not sell, they could not reassure, they could only wait. And as patience evaporated, the conflict moved beyond service bays into a far more dangerous arena for GM. When corporate responses fail, lawyers move in. The recall unleashed a wave of lawsuits that escalated faster than GM likely anticipated. Class action filings began stacking up, alleging negligence, concealment of known defects, and disregard for safety. For owners, the legal fight was not just about compensation, it was about forcing answers out of a company that had remained largely silent. Attorneys familiar with GM's past litigation saw familiar patterns. In previous oil consumption cases, internal documents had revealed early warnings ignored in favor of cheaper fixes. That history made discovery in this case especially threatening. Lawsuits are not dangerous because of verdicts alone. They are dangerous because of what they expose along the way. Discovery forces companies to open their records, emails, engineering notes, manufacturing reports. A single internal memo acknowledging risk years earlier could become devastating evidence. Depositions strip away public relations language and replace it with sworn testimony. For GM's leadership, this was the nightmare scenario. No commercials, no talking points, just documents and timelines. Financial risk grew rapidly, with nearly 900,000 vehicles involved and documented incidents, including injuries, potential liability stretched into the billions. Analysts took notice. Forecasts shifted. Investor confidence wavered. The legal system was doing what regulators and customers could not, compelling transparency. But instead of signaling humility or restraint, GM made a public move that many owners interpreted as tone-deaf at best and insulting at worst. While families waited for answers and dealers scrambled to manage chaos, GM stepped onto a stage and smiled. In Tonawanda, New York, the company announced an $888 million investment in new engine production. Executives praised innovation. Cameras flashed. Ribbon cuttings followed. On paper, it was a forward-looking investment in jobs and future technology. For owners of seized trucks, it felt like a slap. The timing could not have been worse. Trucks sat immobilized. Lawsuits multiplied. Regulators pressed harder. Yet GM appeared eager to shift attention toward expansion rather than repair. The message, intentional or not, was unmistakable. Money was available, just not for making current customers whole. Critics argued that even a fraction of that investment could have funded redesigned components, extended warranties, or full engine replacements. Instead, customers received thicker oil and a plastic cap, while GM touted new facilities and future promises. The optics were brutal. Symbolism matters in crises. New plants and press releases contrasted sharply with stranded families driving loaner cars and wondering whether their trucks could be trusted again. To long-time customers, the move echoed past behavior, growth prioritized over accountability, and for many, this was the moment trust finally snapped. Not because engines failed, but because the company appeared more focused on tomorrow's profits than today's responsibility. For many long-time GM customers, this scandal does not feel shocking. It feels familiar. That is what makes it so damaging. The pickup engine recall did not emerge in isolation. It landed on top of a history that drivers already knew too well. Over the past decade, GM has repeatedly faced crises where internal warnings surfaced only after regulators or courts forced them into the open. Each time, the company promised lessons learned. Each time, trust took another hit. In 2022, GM was dragged into court over widespread oil consumption problems. Owners testified that their trucks burn through oil at alarming rates, sometimes a quart every 1,000 miles. Internal documents later revealed that engineers had identified faulty piston rings years earlier. Instead of redesigning the components, management approved cheaper processes meant to reduce complaints without fixing the root cause. Engines failed just beyond warranty. Customers paid the price. Courts did not accept GM's defense, and damages climbed into the hundreds of millions. Go back further, and the echoes grow louder. The ignition switch crisis followed a similar arc. Early warnings, delayed action, and consequences measured not just in dollars, but in public outrage. Each incident chipped away at the idea that GM's problems were isolated mistakes. Together, they suggest something deeper, a culture that treats safety as a cost to be managed rather than a promise to be upheld. That context reframes the current recall. The plastic cap solution, the delayed transparency, the billion-dollar investment announcement. None of it looks accidental when viewed through history. To customers, it signals repetition, not redemption. And once a pattern becomes visible, loyalty collapses quickly. Drivers who once defended the brand now hesitate. Competitors seize the moment, offering reassurance where GM offers explanations. In today's market, reliability is not proven by slogans or legacy. It is proven by behavior. And for many, GM's behavior has already answered the question. This scandal was never just about engines seizing or recalls expanding. It was about something far more fragile and far more valuable: trust. For generations, GM trucks represented dependability, pride, and security. Families bought them believing they were buying certainty. What they discovered instead was how quickly certainty can vanish when cost-cutting outruns accountability. The fallout is now impossible to contain. Regulators are watching, lawyers are digging, dealers are strained, workers are conflicted, investors are recalculating, and owners, once passive customers, are organizing, documenting, and pushing back. In the modern era, silence no longer protects corporations. Stories travel faster than advertising, and spreadsheets cannot outrun lived experience. GM may hope that time will dull the outrage, that recalls will fade into fine print, that loyalty will return out of habit. But trust does not repair itself the way metal does. Once cracked, it demands proof, not promises. It demands transparency instead of spin, and it demands accountability that arrives before courtrooms force it into existence. The larger lesson extends beyond Detroit. This is about the relationship between corporations and the people who rely on them every day. When safety becomes negotiable, the social contract breaks. And when that contract breaks, customers do not just walk away, they remember. In today's market, horsepower and towing numbers matter less than credibility. The companies that survive will not be the ones with the loudest commercials, but the ones willing to confront failure honestly and fix it completely. For GM, the question is no longer whether engines can be repaired. It is whether trust can be rebuilt. Because in the end, this was never just a truck story. It was a warning, and America is watching what happens next. Once again, thanks for watching this video. If you got something out of this, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. And hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Agree, disagree, or something in between. I'd love to hear it.